Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to Dancecult. I'm really happy to be here, and also to Maria. And I really found really interesting your approach to fun in the suicide raves. Anyway, my presentation is talking about space and materiality, and I have some notes for the design of the dance floor of the future. My name is César Lugo-Elías. I collaborator of the Research Institute for Design, Media, and Culture, and currently I'm trying to found my own laboratory for arts and technologies applied to the dance floor experience. The structure of my presentation is really simple. It has going to present the background of my research, an overview of the results, then the notes for the future, and some closure. Well, as a disclaimer, this presentation contains a lot of images that has been presented in the Noise conference in Porto here like 8 weeks ago. So for those who has been in that conference, you're gonna see a lot of images and a lot of information, which is the same. And I just want to let you know in advance. The background of my research is design. I am a designer. I do objects and interaction design. And my PhD was also in this area. As a designer, I see clubs not as the containers of events, but or as the containers of cultural capital, for example, but also as a part of the event itself. And having this background, just this design background, and it's really grounded on the objects and the material culture we have, has gave me a specific, special point of view when it comes to analyze the dance floor and in general. Well, the research I made was my doctoral research with the title Reassembling the Dance Floor, Exploring Interactions at After Parties in Spaces of Consumption of Electronic Music in the city of Oporto between 2016 and 18. So all the information I'm going to present here comes from this doctoral research. It was meant to be written in 2019 and presented in 2020, but due to the pandemic too, I also have to delay the all the administrative procedures, and I just finished it in March in this year. So this also gave me an interesting opportunity in which I make a study on clubs just before the pandemic, and pretty much the presentation now is just giving further insight about this. As my ethnographic path, I was a participant in different after parties and diurnal events. That means that I was there in the dance floor, participating in dancing, and also recording the events. My main concern here as a designer was less on the social, let's say, political aspects of the party, but more to understand if if the interactions in the dance floor are site specific. That's mean, why does this happens here and not somewhere else? I always love to say that you cannot spell clubbing without the club. So why the club and the dance floor specifically is such a space? How do we design and this experience? I also became doorman in a techno club here for several months. I start listening and carefully to the DJs and to see their interactions, and until I just became myself a novice, and further I DJ. Why I DJ? Part of my research concentrates in took the DJ performance not as central for the dance floor experience, but as an entry point for me to understand how the dance experience is built. DJs have a really interesting way to connect the space, the time, the music, the crowd. They just become such a, until my research at least, they become such a, the perfect interview partners for me because they are first sober, and secondly because they take all these kind of interesting topics into considerations: the space, the amount of the crowd. They read the dance floor and they build it in certain ways, but they also take the materiality of the dance floor into consideration, and that was my interesting my interest point. So that's why I decided to interview DJs. And in order to conduct this interview, I also became a DJ myself in order to better understand their craft. Finally, I make interviews with 10 DJs who play in a specific after club, which is the Lotus After Hours. I concentrate almost all my research in this certain club, which means that I spent almost 18 months doing participatory research in one single club. This this ability and this allowed me to go really deep into what is going on in one single space, which has for me as a designer, which is not, which I am not trained in sociology. I am more trained in other areas like building objects. For me, it was more easy to conduct ethnography in such a chaotic ambient, such as the dance floor. So that allowed me also to have a small scale of one single club to understand how the experience is built. Well, a little bit of about the club I made my research is the Lotus After Hours. Here you can see an image of the dance floor. This place opens at 6 o'clock in the morning and closes when the party is over. It's a semi-private or semi-public space. It's legal here in the city of Porto. And as you can see, because it is a after hours, it uses sunlight as part of the experience, which is really different to nightclubs. In terms of population, the dance floor of this place is really is almost everybody is male, yeah, straight males from working class to middle class, really wide range of ages, but also a wide range of musical taste. The after hours here is the only place which will be open at 6 o'clock in the morning. That means that many people from other music scenes like hip hop, reggae, and techno, they would just come here. And funny enough, the music played here is house music. So apparently, house music has become the genre that can just put all these people together in the morning. That's what you see from the inside, and from the outside, you can see always a beautiful view to the Douro River here in Porto, which means that from the dance floor, you can follow the development of the day and weather changes still having an impact on the mood of the dance floor. Well, let's go an overview to the results. What I did was gather a lot of data from interviews to my own observations. This data, we make a three-process operation. First, we try to disentangle the elements of the dance floor. Then we try to reassemble these elements. And then we try to make it operational, and we construct a model. The disentangle, we just discovered there are 7 themes that are fundamental part of the dance floor experience. These themes can be rearranged in 4 assemblages, which is our theoretical model, and then we can operationalize this in one model. I'm going to spend a little bit about this. First, about the themes, we have found that music, the venue, the audience, the abilities of the DJ, the enthusiasm of the DJ too, and the crowd, the stances present with the people who are arriving, and the journey plays everything a role in the construction of the experience. The journey especially is the term used by DJs to call the set, to call the whole experience has been a journey. So music, audience, abilities, journey, stances, enthusiasm, venue, became the elements that I have that I could describe that are part of the dance floor experience. But my question in my research was more going to how these elements interplay with each others. And I think interplay is a really interesting word to use here, because I don't see the dance floor experience as grounded just in the DJ or just in the music or just in the venue or just in the public. I think it's like a network of elements who share agency. And so my question was how this film assemblage during the dance floor experience. And going that, I was able to describe certain elements that can mediate between these elements. For example, sound, reverberation, and proximity can mediate between venue, audience, and music, and they became my material assemblage. I got 4 assemblages, so this is the first. Also, I was able to describe how social energy is the mediator between music, enthusiasm, and the venue itself, and how interaction cues are in the middle of the audience and the stances and the activities and the behaviors of the DJ, and they become my social assemblage. They are part of the bigger narrative of the event, which is, in this case, the after. And also the cultural ethos of the narrative and sonic cues were able to, are, in my model at least, are the way to mediate the performative assemblage. So at the end, the dance floor experience became the sum of a material assemblages, which include technology, of course, and the social too, and also performative, which includes all the music and the performance itself, because it's really a really performative experience. And all of them are encircled in an experiential assemblage. In other words, the cultural ethos, the social energy, the sonic cues, the reverberation, proximity, sound, visual cues, interaction cues, are all of them sources of aesthetic knowledge. And this aesthetic knowledge is what we call the experience. In my research, is the body, or the human body, the receptor of this experience and all this aesthetic knowledge. And the only way that we can know the dance floor experience is by being there and having it. Well, finally, I just when I mentioned this really fast, the dance floor model canvas. From these 4 assemblages, we create a dance floor model canvas, which is a sheet, a tool for surveying other dance floor experiences. It includes 4 columns, and it has been a tool that we have been using since the pandemic to try to survey the material aspect, social aspect, performative aspect, and experiential aspects of the dance floor experience. I explained this in the other conference, so I won't stop this too much. But if you have any doubts or you're interested about it, please ask me on the chat. And I just want to the conclusions because I'm running out of time. The dance floor experience, I can describe it as a sonic corporeal architectonic dialogue, which is also a way that we can just describe underground. It's a specific way in which the architecture, the sound, and your body start to have a dialogue. And that includes all these 3 aspects. So the dance floor experience cannot be, or the dance floor cannot be summarized just in the music, or just in the technology, or just in the place, or just in the social interactions, but it's like a whole dialogue and an interplay about all these elements. The dance floor experience challenged the notion of space. Space is not anymore a category that is stable, like a 3-dimensional category. Is more like a temporal category. It includes the variable of time. This means that the dance floor is not more the container of the experience, but it's the experience itself. So the club is part of the event, and that's one of the main results of my my research is to start to understand that the space is not stable in Cartesian, but unstable in temporal. There are some techniques that we can use to, some concepts that I go through my work that I want to share with you. One is alatoseness, which is all at onceness, a term coined by McLuhan, which is a strategy to provoke an intense sensory stimulation. A semi-solid environment in the space becomes the media in which the spectator became immersed. So alatoseness is one of the design strategies I have challenged through my work to see how these work, how this overlapping of narratives and media create this semi-solid environment. I just want to remember you that the dance floor is basically fundamentally an empty space, and we just fully fill this empty space with media, with narratives, and the alatoseness is a really way, a concept that can describe that. And the other is discotecture, which is the architecture of the disco, a term coined by Munuera, which is an understanding of the architecture of these nightclubs that goes deeper than merely appreciating their spatial configurations, which explores more as the creation of an event. Discotecture is a continuous performance and a collection of assemblages that render visible the construction of bodies, technologies, media, and environmental ideas. Notes for the future, just for to finish. First, when I see technologies like virtual reality, internet-based technologies, I just ask how new technologies challenge the notion of space and dance floor. Is the space going to be redefined and challenged through virtual reality and the internet? How virtual spaces can choreograph movement, modulate interactions, and encourage behaviors? This is the analog dance floor. Do this. They choreograph movement, modulate interaction, encourage behaviors. How is the new technologies gonna challenge this analog dance floor? And finally, the new technologies prioritize vision over the sensations such as haptic and audio experiences. How does this affect the construction of the dance floor? The dance floor historically has been challenging or giving more priority to audio and haptic experiences. And now with the screen and the internet, it seems that everything is going really flat, and we are prioritizing vision. But is this going to be always like that, or are we just going to get better technologies to include haptic and audio experiences? Finally, just want to say thank you to all the institutions that supported my work, especially the clubs, and thank you very much. Sorry for taking a little bit more time.
Thank you so much, César. Very, very interesting research, and I think it's really needed in the field of the research on the dance floor generally. In the meanwhile that people are posting their questions, I'd like to ask you what was the most challenging part in your research when you build up that wonderful model? Which part was them? Because it's always very difficult to measure those very diverse items on the dance floor and the dance floor experience. And what was the most challenging one for you? Just which was the most challenging part in your research, when you had those different points?
I have to say I am a designer. I'm trained into build objects and material culture, and suddenly having your first ethnographic work at your doctoral level, that was hardcore. It's not any other way to say it. And being confronted to the environment of the dance floor is a chaotic environment, and one of the reasons why I choose to make dance after parties was that it was for me more easy to make observations. As a beginner ethnographer, the darkness of the techno club was just overwhelming to me. I think I needed more. But that brought me to new paths, and that is to discover the dance floor at the after. And I think those difficulties related to ethnography were the most challenging for me as a designer. And the other one is to bring such a topic, which is more related with just fun, just to take again the Maria notions, to make it serious and design appropriate, let's say. And I think those were the most challenging things.
Yeah, you have some very nice feedback in the chat also. And Graham was just asking if you are going to continue this research in the future, because it's also, as he also mentioned, it's very important. Yeah.
So I continue my research. Yeah, what I actually want to do in my crazy head is that I want to make, now that I have a model for the dance floor, the next thing to do is to make a laboratory to put that model into practice, because I can share, of course, the model. It is really imperfect, but since we got COVID, I haven't got the chance to go again to clubs and try to survey these experiences, but they did continue definitely.
And Richard is asking, do you find that research participants, DJs, dancers, are aware of, communicate this concept of temporal space experience?
Yeah, but I think they do it really in their own words. I think this concept of temporal space experience, one of the DJs, I don't have the quote here, but more or less he says that his set is like an airplane. It takes time to take off, then it's gonna have some turbulences, and then it's gonna land. It's gonna land. So he is like describing this corporeal, all this journey, this sense of displacement from the dance floor into another place, and then coming back without moving yourself from the same dance floor. I think they are able to express with their own words these corporeal experiences they have.
Is your PhD in Portuguese?
No, it's in English.
Oh, perfect. I can send that link. Are you going to publish it?
Yeah, I hope. It just finished like in I can just send a link, and the dance floor model is there.
That would be great, or yeah, to publish it, because we are all waiting for that, I guess.
Yeah. Footnote on all these. Footnote, not all DJs are sober. That's something really interesting from the after. Yeah, is that actually all the DJs who came to work and they open at 5 o'clock in the morning, at least they were sober. I don't know how they end up the after, but when they start like sober, and that helped me to arrive sober to the dance floor too.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, César.
Thank you very much.
We have to thank you. Very nice presentation and also topic.